19 minutes past 8. How are you, lads?
How's that?
Barry Murphy and Owen Heary with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
We were talking about we'll start with Rovers, will we?
Yeah.
Because we've been talking about this. Albert Riera came in out of nowhere and dropped a few bombs yesterday. It's like, whoa, there's a bit of tension here. Why is he doing that, Barry? Why do you think?
Well, there was a lot of tension in it last year as well. After the first leg, Rovers went over there and did really well, actually. Got out of it with a 1-0 defeat. Liam Poles made some great saves, but after the game, Albert Riera had a pop in the press of how Rovers approached the game. Long ball, stood in, defended, came to Tala, and Rovers
like Man United is obviously then.
yeah. Rovers did a job on him in Tala, and he wasn't a happy bunny after it. Basically saying he felt disrespected by Shamrock Rovers in the way they went to the media after the game. And listen, Rovers were excellent in that game, and there was a bit of cockiness about that whole setup with the Celia team. Didn't play some of their better players in the first leg, played them in the second leg, and didn't produce for him. I think there was massive pressure on him at the time. Some of his comments since, I think he said that time last year that she was like a new girlfriend. Basically, I love her, but you got to keep your eyes open at night. Weird comment as well. But listen, he's whatever gets his team going. He fancies himself more this year. They're top of the league after 10 wins, so I think he's going in with a bit more cockiness now.
At what point do you get worried about Rovers' form?
At this point, yeah, absolutely.
Because Stephen Barry said after the Shells game, the 1-0 defeat, we'll get this done. We'll win the league. We would have loved to win it tonight, but we'll get this done. And then it happens again. And it's actually 3 opportunities they've missed. Now, the first one has nothing to do with them because it was Derry scoring the 94th minute winner just before Rovers played Kerry in the semi-final of the Cup. But now it's not becoming a trend, but you kind of start paying attention after the last round of games.
Absolutely. It's hard to turn it back on. Now, in fairness to Rovers, they've been missing a couple of players. When your back 4-5 has been disrupted and a couple of players are out, players coming in don't have that same match sharpness which you've given against Shells at the time, because you're looking and you're saying they're not just getting there, they're a little bit late getting to the defensive side of it. Midfield end up dropping, the forwards end up dropping and becomes more defensive. Shells, to their credit, were the better team and end up scoring. But then you think against Pats, they'll get that point. But Pats, in fairness, and that's the best I've seen Pats play all season. They were at it from one goal, closing down.
They're so frustrating, lads, Pats.
And that's the thing, yeah.
We actually mentioned it, two of you, when we were talking about this on Monday morning, that you've been talking about them all season as well.
They weren't down in Cork, they were the other night.
There's not that long between these games.
You can't have that percentage difference between
I watched them against Bows, and there wasn't that fire there that they had against Rovers.
But they were playing the better ball, I thought, on Monday night.
They were playing well, but they weren't committing enough forward to score. And Bows were the same, in fairness. Bows were playing well, but they weren't committing bodies, and neither of them wanted to lose. Now, I can see Pat's point of view, why not losing, getting a point there, because they play Waterford this week. They win that, they go into the top 3, puts pressure then on Bows against Shells on Sunday. But we're going back to Rovers. Yeah, I think confidence-wise, you need to start winning going into these games. Bad form going in. They have this coming up. They need to get the point against Derry. If they don't do it, they have 2 games at home. You'd expect them to get the point. But then you're going into a cup final, and if you're still struggling, you're still not winning games, then going into a cup final is not a good way to be, because he's putting everything on that as well to win a double, which they haven't done since the 80s.
Yeah, and there's something going on in Dundalk, which there's some stuff going on. I haven't had a chance to stack any of the stuff up, but there was the fan club have called for an emergency meeting because there's some concerns about what might be coming next season. So there's a scenario in which everything's going to come up roses for Cork City over the next few months and few weeks. So all of a sudden, Cork have momentum heading into the cup final. Now, so that's a big challenge for Bradley, right? Like, just getting a hold of everything this week, and it starts tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the games even coming up, you've got Galway on Wednesday. If they don't go and do it on Sunday, you've got Galway on Wednesday who need points to guarantee their safety. And then it could go to the last game against Sligo as well, who might need the same points. But going into that cup final as well, you just want a clear run it. They've got to go to AEK on the Thursday as well before that cup final on the Sunday. So there's massive pressure going into that game. But just up in Dundalk, I think it's the 1903 club, the fan club up there, are ones that are protesting against John Temple, and potentially what's going to come down the line from. I think Kieran Kilduff said a few comments last week about not knowing his team next year and whether he might actually be there. So when you're throwing that in the mix, and to be fair to John Temple, he saved the club last year as well. They were hours away with Brian Ainscough of going bust, and he came in and saved it. But obviously they're not liking what they're hearing at the moment. But there's a trend now of fan clubs having a big say in clubs. You can see the same down in Cork as well.
Yeah, exactly. But as you say, Dundalk coming up will be a positive for the league. But if you have the same thing that you're going to have you had with Cork this year, then you don't need it. Cork on that side, will be hoping to stay in the league. Let's be honest, to be hoping and then going into a cup final. There's no pressure on Cork going into this cup final, apart from wanting to win it themselves, because everyone expects Rovers to walk away with it because of the squad they have, the depth they have in the squad. But like I said, when you only need a point to win the league, you do tend to drop your standards a little bit. You know, you come down a few levels thinking, we've 4 games together, we'll get that point. And then it's hard to raise it again. Now, the good thing is they have the likes of Lopez back and Lohan back. So
that makes a difference, doesn't it?
It's massive distance.
It's okay, we've got this.
I think so. I think it'll lift them again and say, right, defensively, we'll be sound. You know, Lopez come back in, Hunter come back in. I don't know how far Grant is off.
It's 4 of the back 5 come back in.
So once that happens, I think it'll give them a lift, and I think they'll eventually get that point, but it'll also kickstart them again in the next couple of games.
The other side about the 2 things I just wanted to talk about briefly. Last season, they were so brilliant in the group stages, but they were coming from behind in the title race to try and put pressure on Shells as time went on. So they were playing themselves into form, and they were battle hardened at this stage, going game after game after game. They needed to win to keep any pressure on, and that's not the case this year. But they do also have the experience of the European stuff and the momentum, the adrenaline that you get from the different music. It's a totally different. And now the opposing manager is coming and calling you out. Like, it's like, all right, this is exactly what they needed to be the electrifying thing that in the dressing room. Everybody was like, well, this is it now tonight. This is a big, big game.
Yeah, it was actually that Celia game, the second leg last year, that the Rovers really kicked into gear. They went and won that and suddenly found a bit of form coming into the latter stages of the league. But if you look at the way that the Europa or the Conference League is fixtured this season, it's front loaded against Shamrock Rovers, where tonight is a real chance to get points. But you look at the games coming up, Shakhtar, AEK. It's coming into the last 2 games, Breidablik and Spartan Hamlins. They're the points or the games you feel you're going to get maximum points in, or you potentially could. So they've really got to get something, because 7 is going to be around the benchmark of points you're going to need to get through. So they really need to get something to tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I think with the manager, the way his comments have come out, I think that might help Rovers tonight. You know, because Bradley's team talk is more or less done, saying, look, he's putting you down again. They don't believe they believe last year's a fluke that got them through and got us through. So it really kickstart that season. I think they really need to get a foothold in the game tonight and basically get the points on the board. You
were saying there, Owen, it's hard to turn it back on when the form dips in the league. Is that irrelevant for tonight? Because are you accessing a different part almost of a motivation tank? No, I think you need to get back, because you're looking back and you're saying the last game, as I said, Shells could be down to just the fact that you're missing players. Then Pats, you're not winning again. Yeah, great in chances, not scoring. You had a couple of good chances in it. That's two games where they haven't scored. Yeah, conceded goals. So this one, now you're thinking, right, we don't have form coming into this game. The European team does have form coming into a good form coming in. So they need to make sure that first of all, defensively they have to be sound, and then go and take the game to them. And as I said, this motivation is done for them, because if you don't get motivated by what the opposition manager is saying about you, then nothing's going to motivate you. This is something we wouldn't do often, but if we look at the next few games for Rovers, right, it's so defining for them. So they have tonight's game, and then on Sunday they're away to Derry. So this could be the culmination of everything, right? So they have Derry away on Sunday afternoon. Then after that, they're at home to Galway, and they're at home to Sligo. And then they have a really interesting week that week, the first week in November, because on the 6th, on a Thursday, they're away to AEK Athens. 3 days later is the FAI Cup final against Cork City. So Cork City could be playing against either a very damaged side who are fatigued, who are wrecked, or an elated one who have just won the league and are performing well in the last 2 games in Europe. This is so defining. I guess what I'm asking you both here is to basically call the future here and predict when they're going to win the league in those 3 games and what's going to happen tonight to motivate them to do that. Well, honestly, I think that if he gets the points tonight, then against Athens, he won't play his strongest team. He'll put that for the cup final. I think he wants that double. As it hasn't been done since the 80s or Rovers. They've won a cup, obviously, back in 2012 or 2019. Was it maybe? But I think gets the points tonight, then he'll worry about Athens, but he won't play the strongest team, and then kickstart that into the cup final and have a domestic double. And then he has games to try to pick up more points to get through to the next round. If they don't get anything from tonight, what will happen then? I'll let you take that one.
There's massive pressure. I think he wants to get the league done on Sunday. He just has to get that out of the way and just get the point up there and have that kind of secured. Then, you look at the Sparta game or the Hamlins game, the last one, and Breidablik. Breidablik are a tough side. Icelandic. They beat Rovers last year or 2 years ago. Really tough side, so that's not a guaranteed 3 points either. who said the benchmark is 7 points, and you're looking at going to AEK and trying to get a point over there. But the only thing with that is Celia went there and won 3-1 last week. So are they the best AEK that they've ever been? Probably not. But we'll see more tonight where Shamrock Rovers are. Celia are in a good vein of form at the moment.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking the same thing. When do you start resting? Is there a world in which you pick your cup team tonight and they kind of get very gently managed over the next 2 weeks so that...
Yeah, I think this weekend, this next 3-4 days is the big game for them. If you get the points tonight and if you get the point on Sunday, then players will be rested in the league games. That won't matter to it.
Yeah, they'd have to be 2 strong teams, wouldn't they, Owen? Because you're going up to Derry.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you
so
put everything into this couple of games.
Yeah.
Like, you try get your points on the board tonight for Europe, but then you try get that point the weekend, regardless of what happens. Whether you have to defend for the 90-odd minutes, defend, just get the point, get it done. And then the Galway game, the Sligo game, you'll probably rest players. Now, there'll be people giving out about that, saying, well, this team's fighting relegation here and you're not putting out the strongest team. But who cares?
River.
Yeah, it's not up to you.
Yeah,
exactly.
You'll have a league title in your bag, and then you're thinking, you're going to Athens, then you're saying, right, what sort of team can I play there? But then you'll have your strongest 11 for the cup final because, like I said, now I know anything can happen in the cup final, but you'll want the strongest team in that game.
How do you make sure they're actually still fully fit and on form? How close to the cup final should you play that team?
Well, obviously, he won't play the team. Like, he'll keep fellas guessing. He won't name it at all until probably the couple of days before. I think
I suppose he knows what.
Yeah, he probably knows it already.
But when do you, if you're the manager now, and you want to win that cup final, because like I think that almost no sequence of results between now and the cup final is gonna. That's the biggest game over the next while, because the league, they could lose all the games left in the league and they're still going to win it, right? That's what we all think.
Yeah, I think the players that you have to look
which,
after would be the likes of Lopez because of the travelling he's done and the last month that he's had.
So you don't bring him to Greece at all?
Possibly not.
Yeah.
If you've gotten your points tonight and if if you get the league and title in the bag, then you might say, well, look, he's had to travelling a long distance to Cape Verde and back. Is it worth bringing him all the way over there again, over to Athens, and bringing him back and then trying to get him ready for the cup final a couple of days later? He might be one of the players that you think, well, look, we'll rest him for tonight and get him for the cup final.
Or are you thinking Man United 99, where everybody plays every minute, and like you're making men do, and there's injuries and there's suspensions, but because they're in that winning thing, it's like we're just going for it.
I think the precedent was set though already with that Sparta game. He gave up that game basically just for Kerry in the semi-final. If you're doing that for Kerry, you're definitely going to do it for the final. So that's the way he's looking at it. I think he'll sacrifice that AEK game and realise probably not going to get out of it anyway. Leave a lot of people at home. Give the rest of them a chance and go all.
It's like a legacy decision, right? So, for argument's sake, if you put everything into these European games and rest the players in the remaining league ones and even the cup final, was like, well, financially this is extremely beneficial to Shamrock Rovers. You're setting them up well, but for Stephen Bradley's CV, he's going to want to prioritise the domestic games, and if he gets something in Europe, it's great because it's more money for the club. There's a world where you can balance both, and I guess Stephen Bradley's at this stage now where he's capable of doing that. But that's why I'm kind of really interested by the remaining fixtures, because he has decisions to make in terms of priorities.
Isn't it a great scenario to be in?
It's like
an Irish club like to be
Liverpool.
In.
It's a great scenario for so many options.
For an Irish club being in, European games, domestic league, the cup, and thinking, we can rest players and we won't put out a full team in a European match and move around. But yeah, Bradley, I'm sure he has on paper what his strongest team for the cup is that he wants to play, and I'm sure he's looked down the line and saying, right, if we get our points tonight, can we sacrifice this game? If we get the point against Derry, will we sacrifice the Galway and Sligo game and not play? Now they'll still go out and probably beat Galway and Sligo with a weakened team because they have such a good squad and depth. But I think he'd be sort of trying to take care of a couple of players that have played a lot of minutes and a lot of travelling, and he'd be wanting to look after them, especially the older players. Like, as I said, Lopez, the travelling he's done over the last while could be worth just saying not going to Greece and just keeping him fresh for the cup final once they get all that work done the next couple of games.
I think Stephen Bradley's CV domestically is as good as it's going to get. For if you're looking from outside,
he wants to double though, I suppose.
Yeah, but if you're an English club looking at him going, does the double make a difference? He's won 5 leagues,
Yeah.
If he goes in the first team to qualify for a knockout stage of Europe, he's going to potentially do it again this year. If you're the powers that be in the FBI and you're looking at it, is a double going to be the difference between you getting the job and not? I think the points total in Europe is the next step for him. Obviously they did it last year, getting to the knockout stage. Can they go one further? And that's what will look better on the CV for him.
It's like you say, like they're great problems to have.
Yeah.
But it is interesting when it comes to priorities, sure. So what do you think will happen this week when it comes to Rovers, with tonight and on Sunday against Derry? What's your feeling?
No, I still think they'll get beaten tonight.
Right.
Honest, I don't think they'll get any points against them tonight. Now, I'm hoping I'm mistaken, but I think on Sunday against Derry, I think they'll get the result they need and get the league done. They'll be probably hunting from tonight's game if they don't get anything from it, and put everything on Sunday and get the points they need.
Let's talk about.
Sorry, I think it's going to be really difficult. Yeah, the two lads they have up front, Iosif and Kovacevic, he scored a hat-trick against AEK last week. He's a really good player. I think if they got a point tonight, they'd take it.
I tell you who's equally up the walls is Shells. So they play Skindia tonight. 0-0 against Hacken first day out. Joey O'Brien's been talking this week, was like, on reflection, really should have won that game. That was a horrible night. The weather was appalling. There weren't many chances, but they got a point out of it. 7 is the magic number, as you're saying yourselves. But Jesus, look at Shells after this game tonight, right, which is huge for them. Domestically, away to Bowes, at home to Pats, and Shells are in 3rd place in the league.
Yeah.
They themselves have huge priorities to choose from, because it's Scandia tonight and then it's Drita after the Kosovan champions, and then the next two after that is Azaid and Crystal Palace. These are huge calls for Joey O'Brien to make.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Shell, I think Shells have done great over the last couple of weeks, because I didn't think they'd even make top 3, and they've seemed to turn around. I think they win against Rovers, and then obviously at home against Sligo has really turned them completely around. Bypassed Bowes, now they're in the top 3, and as you say, they play Bowes Sunday and then they play Pats after that. I think if they get a result Sunday, they'll stay top 3 and get Europe, So a lot of pressure. And I think a lot of pressure will come on Friday's games. If Pats beat Waterford, they'll jump into the top 3 then, and Bowes will drop down again. So it'll be a lot of pressure for Bowes on Sunday going into that Shells game. But like you said, they're travelling away, coming back. Domestically then, it's a quick turnaround again to try play, Bowes in Dalymount at 4 o'clock on a Sunday. I don't know if they have the squad to do that.
I was going to ask, do you make a lot of changes? Like, Meepo's been in and out of the starting lineup just recently, and there's a tiny bit of depth coming in midfield.
Yeah, I just don't think they have the squad totally to go over and get the points tonight and then come back and get the points on Sunday. Now,
okay, so
wrong. So, but he won't sacrifice Sunday. I can't say him sacrificing Sunday. They need to get Europe again, because that's where the money is generated. Will he sacrifice tonight? I can't say. He's not that sort of man that wants to rest players in that way. Like, I think
if you were to get results in both of these games, like,
I think Sunday would be the most important game for me.
But then you could actually ease up against Pats, because if, like, essentially a draw would be enough to guarantee them more than likely 3rd.
Yeah.
Like there's a goal difference thing where Pats could catch them.
This year.
That 4th place comes into it. Yeah.
That's what you're thinking,
Just want to finish 3rd and not have to cheer on.
Exactly, cheer on your rivals.
Yeah.
It's if it was me, I'd be thinking Sunday is the priority to get back into Europe again. And like you said, if you get a draw, more than likely to be in Europe again next year, and you get a nice favourable draw again, and who knows what happens then after that. It's generating money, isn't it, for the club?
No, it's bang on, but it's so funny that you're sacrificing a European game in order to qualify for Europe.
Yeah, again, because you have more European games coming up that you can say, right, we're in Europe now. Now we can throw everything into the next.
If it was a knockout tie, you'd be like, what's the point of that?
And I think you can say, right, look, you're playing Crystal Palace and A's head. Isn't it more than likely you're not going to get points out of them? But who knows? At least you can rest all your players going into those games and saying, right, we give it everything.
Yeah, the only thing about sacrificing European games, it's not as if it was the same as last year, where they're coming in the Champions route and you're guaranteed 3 games. You're getting 1 game, so you're not getting the same revenue. So you're weighing it up then if you're sacrificing. The money's huge for getting points in these games. So you've got that to contend.
That's a fair point. Who's the manager of the year?
Bradley, for me. I mean, honestly, especially if he gets the double, you think of it last year, losing the league title, and you'd probably go back to the penalty decision that was given up in Derry. Obviously we would have won the league for them. But to bounce back, get his players, motivated to win the league again, and he's he more or less do that now in style with a couple of games to go, and then be in a domestic final and to qualify Europe and go do well in Europe would be, to me, he's probably definitely the manager here for me.
Unless Cork beat them in the final, in which case it's Joey O'Brien, right?
Turn Ash, isn't it?
Well,
To be fair to Joey, he's been brilliant since he's come in, isn't it?
That's
Joey O'Brien was my next
the Shells tournament has been excellent. Over the last, since he's been in, like he's done really, really well. He's got results. He's gone about his business. I seen him there in Dalymount on Monday gone. So he's going doing the work himself, and then he's making sure that his team is getting the points to get them in Europe. And as I said, I wouldn't have given him a chance to get into Europe.
Yeah.
But he's pushed up there and he's in third, like, so 2 games to go. You wouldn't bet against him.
All right. So, in a very unusual turn again, we're going to keep you. We're going to have a little break here because we're going to come back for you. You had to be there, which is a first that we've tried here, where we're going to get 2 people to combine their 5 choices. So there's plenty to look forward to. In the meantime, we're going to throw to the Shane O'Donnell interview we talked about at the start of the show that Ger and myself did with the man himself yesterday afternoon. So